afternoon, everybody, evening, wherever you're watching this, whatever time. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And we say, Lord, send now prosperity. Blessed is the man whose God is the God of Israel. Thank God for all of you today that are listening, watching. It is a great day to be alive. To Angelica, thank you for hosting and moderating on Clubhouse. And those of you that are watching on Facebook, Instagram, not Instagram, but YouTube, it's a great day to be alive. I want to share this word to you today. I want to share this word today with you all that the Lord gave me. I actually, Prophet Dion, I was, and yeah, I'm a very honest preacher. I was perusing through, like many do, through Facebook, and I saw my son, Prophet Frank, put this word up, and I don't even know if he preached it or whatever, but the Lord led me to deal with this subject. Speak to the storm. Speak to the storm. Speak to the storm. I won't be long today, but I will deal with the storms of life. The storms of life. Speak to the storm. Speak to the storm. I want to talk because life has a way of bringing storms. Right now and throughout history, life has been and filled with every kind of storm, every kind of storm. Emotional storms, mental storms, medical storms, political storms, and of course, storms from weather. Storms from weather. All kind of storms. I can't look at messages right now, y'all, while I'm teaching, so forgive me. I can't answer messages. All kind of storms. And I want to recognize that right now there's a storm called Ida that is in Louisiana, approaching Louisiana, and we're praying for them. But Ida is not the only storm. There are some of you that are facing storms right now that are of life storms. What do you do when life brings you a storm in the midst of everything that you're doing? Because the people that are dealing with the storm called Ida, I was watching the news and they said just 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, they did not know that the storm was coming their way. What do you do when all of a sudden, Brother Andre, you're going through the things of life? Because let me tell you, a storm will come, no matter how great you are, no matter how articulate you are, and no matter how graceful you are, no matter what it is that you do. The storms of life will come, no matter how you try to, navigate so that a storm won't come. There's an old saying that says, "Into each life, some rain must fall." Many times, storms catch you off guard. Storms catch you off guard. Storms have a way of catching you off guard that you don't realize that they're coming. There's an old preacher that said that either you're in a storm, on your way to the storm, or coming out of a storm. Storms. For the last 2 weeks, I don't know why I'm led to talk about trouble and storms, because I think many times we're on social media, whether it be Facebook or YouTube or Clubhouse, and people show a good face, but you have no idea. You have no idea what the person that's watching this or viewing with you or in Clubhouse with you on stages, what they're going through. There used to be an old show that I'm going to date myself. It's called, Dwayne, The Secret Storm. The Secret Storm is the Secret Storm. Secret Storm is when you are going through a storm and nobody knows that you're going through it because you have kept it a secret. You're still smiling. You're still going through life's daily things that you have to go through. You're still moving and shaking. You're smiling in front of the camera. You're in front of the gram. You're in the house. You're on Facebook. You're doing all that, but you're in a secret storm. You're in a secret storm of large proportion because you are still fighting demons yourself. The storms of demons that come. The storms of demons that I was watching the new movie Respect last night. I took an evening and watched it, and she always talked about the demons. Aretha Franklin talked about the demons. She believed that she was always fighting the demons until everybody else, Brother Dwayne, Angelica, good to see you, Destiny, everybody else bought into her demons until one day somebody had to tell her. James Cleveland in the movie, he told her, he said, "Ree, you ain't fighting no demons. You just need to be closer to God. You in protection now." And so I want to talk about the storm. I want to go to, and this is just a word of encouragement and a word of empowerment for just 15 minutes, friends. I want to go to a very familiar passage of scripture, knowing that everybody in the room is not saved, not a Christian. That's okay. Just hanging there with me is my point, to make sure that you understand what we are talking about. So we find in the 4th chapter of the book of Mark, the 4th chapter, we find in the 4th chapter of the book of Mark, the 35th verse, it says, "On the same day when evening had come, he said to them," Jesus is talking to his disciples. Understand what he's saying. This is the most important part of it. He said, "Let us go to the other side." Let's go. We're going to the other side. You have to remember that, because that is very significant for the text. He says, "Let us go to the other side." We're going to the other side. Let's go. That's the commandment. That is the authority of Jesus speaking. He said, "Let us go to the other side." They're on the Sea of Galilee. They're ready to go to the other side. Everybody's in the boat, and they're believing. Everybody is in the boat. Let's go to our goals. Let's go to our vision. Let's go to our destiny. Let's go to the place that God has promised. Let me start this new business. Let me start this new thing that God has given me. This thing that is in my mind, this vision. I'm going to the other side. God told me to do this. Destiny. I know, Dion, without a shadow of a doubt, that God told me to start this business. I know God told me to start this church. I know God told me to start this live. I know God told me to do this. I know God told me to be a coach. I know. He said, "Let's go to the other side." You got your team with you. Everybody in place. Let's go to the other side. The motors of transportation, the mode of transportation is the boat. They're on the Sea of Galilee. It is believed, Prince, that the Sea of Galilee is about 5 to 6 miles, but they are deep in the sea. They're deep in this thing. He said, what is the commandment? Let's go to the other side. Some of you have some things that God told you I'm not preaching. Let me calm down, Rachel. Good to see you, Candace. Let me calm down. I'm not preaching. I'm teaching. There's some things that God commanded us There's some things that God told us in the beginning of this year in January. He said, I'm getting ready to take you to a place that you've never been. I'm getting ready to cause you to walk off from some things so that you can go to your destiny. Get in the boat. Get in the boat. Get in the boat. Do something you've never done. Get in the boat with me. Now, understand, they're in the boat with Jesus, the one who has authority and the one who has power. So watch this. The text says, Dwayne, so they're leaving the crowd. They took him with them just as he was in the boat. Sometimes, Dwayne, Rachel, Coffee, Destiny, you got to learn how to leave the crowd in order to do what God said. Sometimes the only way that you're going to do what God says is that you have to walk away from some people. You have to walk away from your past. You have to walk away from some family people, because friends will mess you up, but family will do you in. I'm talking to somebody in the room. Sometimes you have to leave the familiar. The text says that he's leaving the crowd. They're leaving the crowd. They took him with them. They in the boat, and other boats was with them. And you can only take certain people with you when you're going to the other side. Now, in the midst of it, a fierce windstorm begins to blow. Waves were breaking over the boat so that it was already being swamped. There is water in the boat. But the text says, let's go to the other side. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Sometimes you have to hold on to the original word. They ain't thinking about that because they got a storm going on. It's a lot going on. It's boisterous winds, and they feel like they're about to sink, because the Sea of Galilee was known. The maritime sailors, it was known for sinking boats. It was known for, in that time, for swallowing up boats. It was known. Y'all not hearing me. It was known for drowning those that were aboard the boat. But the word is, let's go to the other side. And now fear has gripped the disciples. And what is Jesus doing? Jesus is asleep. Jesus is asleep in the boat. But they on top. They're afraid because they've forgotten the original word. See, when you have a word, the original word is, let's go to the other side. You're not worried about the stuff that's going to happen in between the word and the destination. Windstorm began to break, but Jesus is in the stern. He's in the bottom part of the ship, and he's asleep with his head laying on a cushion. I'm reading out the Amplified. And I can imagine they're saying, now this dude is disrespectful, because now he told us go to the other side, but he going down there and he going to sleep. How he gonna sleep at this time, at this place, when he's the one that God is in this situation? God, you told me to walk away from the job. God, you told me to start the business. God, you told me to do this. But now you down there sleep chilling, and I'm in the midst of getting water out of this boat. I'm in the midst of struggling with what you told me. What do you do when God tells you to do something, but what he told you, it don't look like what he told you? What do you do when he said, look, I'm taking you to the other side. I'm taking you to a new place. I see my bishop down there, Kelvin Brian, bless you, man. I know God told me to go to the other side. I know he told me he got something fresh and new for me. I know he got something big for me. But now the storm is raging. What do you do when the storm begins to rage in what God promised you? Coffee. What do you do when sickness becomes the norm in your family? What do you do when death is all around you, but God told you to start a business in the midst of a pandemic, but it's a storm raising? It's a storm out in the ocean, in the sea. What do you do When God said, we're going to the other side, but now the other side looks like it's impossible because there's a storm going on, and now Jesus ain't saying nothing. He told me to do this, but now he ain't saying nothing. What do you do when it's the silence of the Lamb? What do you do when the Lamb becomes silent in your situation and he's asleep in the hinder part of the boat? I'm in the text now, and they go to him and they wake him up because they feel like, Jesus, you've been disrespectful. You've been disrespectful. Don't you see what I'm going through? And some of you in this room, some of you right now, you're going through some stuff and you're in a storm right now. You're in a storm of big proportions. You're in a storm. You haven't shared it with nobody, because if you shared with them, then I was sitting at a restaurant in Detroit called the Hudson Cafe, and the owner came to me. He said, you know, so-and-so is back in town. I said, no. I said, I hadn't heard. I said, yeah, they separated. They're no longer with their husband. And they done lost everything. And I said, really? And he said to me, he said, and this struck me. He said, she told him, how can I teach financial literacy and I'm bankrupt myself? I'm in a storm. How can I teach somebody to be debt free? And the Holy Spirit said to me that sometime God has to take you through the very thing, y'all catch this now, the very thing that you're trying to deliver folk from. God has to take you through it, because you were only talking by theory, but now you're talking about your own life. The best way you can lead people. Y'all ain't helping me, Dwayne. Y'all ain't helping me. The only way you can lead people, sometimes you have to go through the storm yourself in order to tell people, how in the world, let me go back, old church, Prince, you're like this. How in the world you gonna tell somebody that he's a provider if you ain't never need him? How in the world you gonna tell somebody that he's a company keeper, y'all singles in this room, if you ain't never been lonely? How in the world are you gonna tell somebody about something that you ain't never been through? You really ain't coaching nobody until you done been through what you're coaching them about. You really ain't been through nothing until you can stand and say, I've been there before myself. People tell me, say, how in the world can you be a relationship coach, Bishop Davis, and you're single? But they don't understand. I've been married before. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Just because I'm single, it don't mean the best person that can tell you is the person that has failed, so they can tell you how they failed, and you don't have to fail also. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening and watching this. So he goes down, Candace. They go down, the disciples, they're fearful, and they go down to the boat and they say, teacher, don't you care? You teacher, do you not care that we're about to die? Don't you care that we're about to die? Don't you care that the boat is about to sink? Don't you care that I started this business and I don't have any customers? Don't you care? You told me to start this, and then the worst storm, Angelica, in my life comes. I told y'all the other week, those of you that have been following me on here every Sunday, I told y'all, I got to go in a few minutes. I told y'all the other week that God does his best in the dark. He develops you in the dark. Some of my greatest moments was at my worst moments. The tale of two cities. Y'all ain't saying nothing. I said some of my best moments was at some of my worst moments. I got called to preach 35 years ago at one of my worst moments, because when I'm weak, that's when I'm strong, because God can only get my attention in the storm. Because when everything's all right, I ain't got to go get him. Y'all ain't saying. They wasn't, watch this. They didn't care. Here's some revelation. They didn't care about him being asleep until they were going through something. They didn't care. They didn't even care that he was asleep until sometimes we don't even wake up Jesus. Prince, you ain't helping me preach. I'm not preaching, I'm teaching. I'm sorry. Sometimes we don't wake up Jesus until we're going through the worst times of our life. Sometimes we disregard him because we don't need him, but it's better to have him. My grandfather used to say then, it's better to have him and not need him than to need him and not have him. They say, Jesus, don't you care that we're about to die. And he got up. They really was rebuking him. Don't you care? Huh? Y'all better be careful how y'all talk to him when y'all going through something, because he got the power to get you out. Don't you care? Just murmuring. God, don't you see that you told me to start this. Now look at this. They were rebuking him. Don't you care that we going under? We're about to die. But they forgot in the 35th verse, he says, let's go to the other side. Calithia. He said, let's go to the other side. They forgot about the promise, because the promise does not go away just because you in a storm. The storm does not negate. Y'all ain't saying nothing. The promise is still on. I came to tell somebody today, the other side is still getting ready to happen. And so he got up. He got up. And what does he do? He begins to rebuke the storm. And this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be. He says 3 words: peace, be still. That's what I came to tell y'all. I'm getting ready to go, Bishop Brian. I'm getting ready to go, y'all. I got to go. I got an appointment. Jesus said, he wakes up, no commotion, no nothing. He stands up in his godness and he says, peace, be still. Peace. Jesus uses an imperative command, a noun, Siope, meaning the sea. Watch this, Destiny. The sea must be silent and mute. Hallelujah. I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm gone. No, I gotta go. I gotta go. He said the Greek word means peace that Jesus uses is an imperative command, a noun, Siope, meaning the sea must be silent and mute. I don't think you heard me, Prince. Let me rewind it again. Winton, Candace, you a word per Destiny. I'm so glad to have you. Dwayne, I see you change your picture to a preaching picture because you feel like preaching now. Your sermon later on. I'm preaching right now. The Greek word, he says, peace, be still. But let's deal with peace. It means that Jesus uses an imperative command. He commands the storm. What's the subject today? Speak to the storm. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Get up and speak to your storm. He speaks to the storm head on. Now, this ain't for those of you that are cowards. This ain't for those of you that are faint of heart. This is not for those of you that don't like conflict. Some of you gonna die in the storm because you don't like speaking, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. Y'all ain't saying nothing. I don't believe the report of the doctor. I believe the report of the Lord. And I speak to the storm of sickness. He says, let me give it to you one more time, Dwayne, because I don't think you heard me. The Greek word for peace that Jesus uses is an imperative command, Siope. It's a noun meaning the sea must be silent and mute. Jesus takes away its ability to speak. Y'all ain't saying nothing. He takes the ability of the storm away. The storm cannot speak when Jesus stands up. And some of you don't realize you have the same power, the same authority as Jesus. Y'all ain't saying nothing. You have that same power to stand up and today speak to your storm and tell it peace. Be muted. Be silent. You can take the ability away from your storm, from speaking louder than the purpose of God. Let's go to the other side. I gotta go. I gotta go. Y'all playing with the storm. You playing with it. Girl, they say I got sickness. They say, girl, the doctor said I got cancer. No! Peace. Storm, peace, sickness, mute. Stop playing around with my mind. Stop playing around with my thoughts. I said, peace. Bishop Brian, peace. I'm taking the ability of the storm from speaking louder than the purpose of God. Some of you allowing your storm to take over. And God said you have the ability to say peace. What does peace mean again? It means to silent and mute. Jesus silenced the storm. There's somebody in this room, about 90 of you in this room. I want everybody to take your authority and begin. Those of you that are watching me on Facebook and those of you that are watching me on YouTube, I want you to take your ability and begin to speak and mute your storm. The storm, watch this. The storm was trying to swallow up the boat. But God stilled the voice and the mouth of the boat and the storm from speaking and swallowing up the boat by saying, peace. Now, that ain't all he said, Prince. Let me go. And I got to go. And Jesus also said, be still. Peace, be still. The Greek word here is phoenicio, meaning to muzzle, silence, and cause to be speechless. Again, we get the sense that the storm and raging water would love to resist. Sometimes the stuff that you're going through, don't shout at me like that. Sometimes the stuff that you're going through, Coffee, it will resist your voice. But understand that it is powerless. It has a lot of fight, but no bite. Y'all ain't saying nothing. It has a lot of fight, but no bite. His authority overrules. Y'all ain't saying nothing. The ship from being swallowed up. Peace, mute yourself and be quiet and silent, but be still means to muzzle, to silence, to cause to be speechless. God said today to tell you to begin to speak to your storm. You're not saying nothing. I ain't at the happy part yet. We're going to get happy in a minute. We're going to get happy in a minute. I feel like I'm in church. We're going to get happy in a minute. He mutes and silences the storm. And he looks at the disciples and says, why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? Do you still have no faith and confidence? Didn't you see me heal the sick? Didn't you see me raise the dead? You don't think I can take care of the elements? Don't you know who I am? I'm God. I created the storm. Don't you think when I said, let's go to the other side, I already knew it was going to be a storm? Don't you know when I told you to start that business, I already knew that they were going to turn you down at the first place? Don't you know that I knew that when you started that business and when you started your new career, I knew that you were going to get sick. I knew that you were going to go through. I knew that your family was going to go through turmoil. I'm God. I know the end from the beginning. I don't mean to holler on here, y'all, because it's not polite.
Let him use you.
I know the end from the beginning. I told you to go to the other side. So if I told you that I'm able to carry you that peace, if I was in church right there, the organ would have played and I'd have hollered. Peace.
Ooh,
Peace. Silent, mute, muzzle, silence. The organ, the piano can play now softly. If it was one in here, I'm done. Ladies and gentlemen, all I'm trying to tell you is that you don't do it, that you have authority, so churchy, that you have authority over your storm. It's time for you to muzzle the storm. It's time for you to muzzle the noise. It's time for you to stop the voices in your head. It's time for you to speak peace to your own mind. Some of you that are here, Destiny, Candace, all of y'all, Winton, Linwood, good to see you. The very storm is in your mind. It's not an outside storm. It's a self-imposed storm. There's another boy in the Bible by Jonah. Y'all ain't saying nothing. He caused his own storm. What do you do when the storm is calling your name because you caused the storm, because you wouldn't get rid of him out of your life? What do you do when you are the cause of the storm that's going on? Because God told you not to do that and not to do this. But God told me to tell you, peace, be still. Now, I would not be a great preacher if I didn't close this with giving you hope. All right. And I told you how to speak to the storm. All right. I want to go back now. Let's go back and I'm done. I got 1 minute to do this because I was only going to be 30 minutes. I got 1 minute to do this. The text says in the 35th verse of the 4th chapter of the book of Mark 4:35. Linwood, you're a good preacher. They tell me, let us go to the other side. That's what it says. Let us go to the other side, right? The storm comes in between. But in Mark, the 5th chapter, y'all ain't saying nothing. In Mark, the 5th chapter, verse number 1, what was the commandment? Let's go to the other side. The storm happens in between. Y'all ain't saying nothing. The storm happens in between. Jesus stands up, says, peace, be still. He mutes and silences the storm. He tells the storms to be quiet. But in Mark 5:1, y'all ready? Don't you do it. They came to the other side. Y'all ain't saying nothing. They came to the sea. On the other side of the sea. They came to the other side of the sea. That's all I want to tell y'all. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Whatever God promised you, y'all ain't saying nothing. In January, I know where I'm at because I'm a preacher. Whatever God promised you in January, by December 31st, Rachel, I don't care what the storm was. I don't care what the storm is. Y'all ain't saying nothing. You started January 1, and in December 31st, God said, I'm going to end it. But you got to learn how to speak to your storms and not let it swallow you up. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord shall deliver them all. Y'all ain't saying nothing. He said in the 35th verse of chapter 4, let's go to the other side. In chapter 5, first verse, it says, and now they're on the other side. If Jesus goes with me, y'all ain't saying nothing. If I was gonna close it right and I was gonna be true Baptist, I said, if Jesus goes with me, I'll go anywhere. Y'all ain't saying nothing, but I ain't gonna do that today because one of my bishops is in the room, so I can't do that. But chapter 4:35, he said, let's go to the other side. A storm comes, he speaks to it, he silences it, it doesn't swallow him up. But in chapter 1, they came to the other side. That's what I want to tell y'all. This storm is not going to take you out. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's sickness. I don't care if it's disease. I don't care if it's loneliness because you're single. I don't care if it's a bad marriage. I don't care if it's miscarriages. I don't care. I don't care what you have done. Kirk Franklin posted a post today that I love because we must understand all of us have been through a storm. All of us have messed up. All of us have self-imposed storms. The only difference in some of us is that we had to live our storm out publicly. Others have secret storms. But God told me to tell you that even your secret storm, you can speak to that. Watch this. Winton, you didn't think of this. You trying to be a preacher on me today, really a real pastor. But watch this. God said, I'll take even your secret storms and I'll put it in another sea. And I'll call it the sea of forgetfulness.
Oh, have mercy.
He said, y'all ain't saying nothing. He said, I got a bigger sea for all of your stuff. Y'all ain't saying nothing. He said, and my sea is bigger than all your situations. My sea is bigger than all your failures. My sea is bigger than all your mistakes. It's called the sea of forgetfulness, where other folk want to remind you and leave you because of what you've done. That yours was public, but theirs was private, but they want to get rid of you. He said, I'll make a sea and I'll call it the sea of forgetfulness. And I'm not going to let it, I'm not going to let it rise. Not going to let it rise no more. Good evening, y'all. Good afternoon. Good evening. Prince, I'm going to call for remarks. Prince, you can bring that out, but I'm done. I want y'all to hold on. Hold on just low lock. Father, I pray in the name of Jesus the Christ that you would cause us to open our mouths. Old song says, open your mouth and say so. Open your mouth and speak to the storm. Tell it to mute. Tell it to be quiet. Tell it to silence. Peace. I speak to every storm that's in this room, that's on this live, those that are watching now and will watch later on, that the storm shall cease. Peace. Be still. If everybody in this room that agree with me, and you can't really talk in here, but hand raising is on, just tap hand raising if you're saying to your storm or on the screen, peace, be still. Peace be still. Come on, come on. Peace be still. Come on, peace be still. Come on, peace be still. Peace, mute it, silence it. I silence the enemy in my life. I silence sickness. Brother Andre was in here earlier on Clubhouse, and I wish he'd have stayed. He went to the doctor. They're getting ready to do surgery. And when they got ready to do surgery, they said, we don't need to do surgery because it ain't as bad as it looked. It ain't cancerous. We're going to send you home. It ain't emergency no more. It ain't emergency no more. Now we just going to schedule some service just to get, y'all ain't saying nothing. Peace. I could name a few folk in this room, on this stage, and watching me right now. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Why in the world? Some folk go through stuff and it don't last but a minute. That's because they know how to silence the storm and tell it to be quiet. The Lord bless y'all. It's offering time. It's offering time. Hold on, don't y'all go nowhere because I want some of y'all to speak. But I want to encourage those of you on this Sunday morning service, this Sunday morning time. I want you to give in the verse 39. I want everybody in the room, 20 of you, that would give a $39 seed. And this seed is saying, peace be still. This is our Sunday offering. In this room, in this time, as I preach the gospel, the Bible says, if I give spiritual things, then you give now. I want those of you that was so simply a $39 seed. $ Greg Davis 10. You got some storms in your life and you need to say, peace, be still. $ Greg Davis 10. $ Greg Davis 10. $ Cash App. Contact Greg Davis at Gmail is the PayPal. Contact Greg Davis at Gmail is the PayPal. Greg Davis Show. Greg Davis Show at gmail.com. Greg Davis Show at gmail.com is my Zelle website, gregdavisshow.com. The areas of giving is inside my bio. Those of you that are watching my Facebook, the giving information is down below. Those of you that are watching right now, I want you to give. I want you to believe God today. As you, what are you giving for? You're saying, peace, be still. Peace, be still. You're speaking to your storm. Speak to the storm today in your life and watch it cease. In Jesus' name, give now. Give now. Contact Greg Davis at Gmail. You're asking for PayPal. PayPal, contact Greg Davis at Gmail. Givelify, Greg Davis Ministries. But $ Greg Davis 10. It is a sign. Verse 39 says, and he said, peace be still. And the storm stopped. That's what this seed is saying today as you give it. The Lord bless you real good. Those of you that are watching my Facebook, I'll see you next time. Those of you in Clubhouse, stand by.